Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can catch the new spills every week. And don't forget to hit that notification bell on the side so you're the first one to know when I got a new video up. Alright, so we're back again with more Blue Marvel. And I really like this event in particular because it's like a story within a story. And like in most cases, those are the type of spills that I like to do the most. Because recently when D23 revealed how the children of Thanos will look on the big screen in Infinity War, we talked about them some here on my page, pictures of them were all over the internet, but most of that heavily focused on how they just rip right through the Avengers. But what I like to do here is something similar to what we did with James Hudson, son of Wolverine, in his videos. And that's take one of these main events and focus on what some of the hidden characters were doing during this exact time. And I love that we're able to do this with Blue Marvel specifically. Because while the Avengers were getting mowed through, Thanos was making his plans for an invasion. And Adam Brashear at this time was in what he would call his little undersea science fortress. A lot like a Fortress of Solitude, but underwater. And this is one of the reasons I really like his character too. Because prior to joining the Ultimates and since his return from his forced retirement, Adam Brashear is one of those characters that wouldn't show up unless it's like a high level risk situation or a personal matter. And that's the thing I liked about his character was his humility. Because really, like, you know, we talked about in the last video, if he wanted to come to the surface and just started slapping people off the planet, he could do that. But it's the fact that he chooses not to and he doesn't show up unless it's a serious threat and he needs to intervene. And that's also one of the reasons why his appearance in comics are kind of scattered around too. And that makes him a rarer find for these kind of spills. Because with some stuff, you got to jump to the issues that he's in and then jump back to the main story. But it shows you that he was never that type of character who was like, okay, I need to jump out there and I need to save the day just so people can see what I can do. And I believe it's things like that that really showed us his true character and let us know who Adam Brashear is now as part of the Ultimates. But as the children of Thanos continue their invasion, you have Ebony Maw who's going for Doctor Strange. And spoiler alert for the Infinity War film, because a lot of this is likely to happen in the film. There's probably a few things that we'll touch on here that'll happen in the film. But it's highly likely that we'll see a scene similar to this with Doctor Strange and Ebony Maw. And Ebony Maw really just has one power, but that power is huge. Because he can whisper his influence into somebody's ear and make them do virtually anything. Like here with Doctor Strange, like once he gets a hold of him, he gets him to summon Shumagora and release him on New York. Then after that, he uses Doctor Strange to work as a double agent within the Illuminati. But we head back over here to Adam Brashear, who's talking with Uatu the Watcher. And they've actually been friends for quite some time. Because in the past, Adam has used the blue area of the moon as a little getaway spot. And I don't mean like vacation getaway, but it's an area that was built by the Skrulls like 1,000,000 years ago. It has an artificial environment to where regular people went up there, they can breathe. Skrulls originally made it as a testing ground. The Kree, they built the Blue City there, but Uatu also has his base there. And I want to say it was at the time that Adam Brashear's wife, who later on passed away, but at the time he found out she was a spy. And so when Adam flew up there to kind of clear his mind, that's what he met Uatu, and Uatu was kind of talking to him, telling him, hey, go back down there and work it out. And from there forward, it opened the door of communication between the two, and they ended up being really close friends. So mainly when Uatu visits Adam here, he's telling her to tell him, you know, step away from your research for a second and look back at the monitors. And with Adam, you know, it's like most of the time nothing's happening, but the one time he turns his back, it's looking like the end of the world out there. Shumagora is tearing up New York, and even though he's nearly invincible in his own dimension because his powers are amplified there, here on Earth his power levels and abilities drop down to a magnitude that is still on top of the charts, which makes him being here on top of the Black Order invading a level 8 threat. Because if it was only the invasion, that would still be a level 7. And I know you guys are probably looking in the background like, who's that second Spider-Man with the nunchucks? So I'm gonna go ahead and address the elephant in the room. So that second Spider-Man is actually Blade. And he kind of got caught in this predicament of sneaking through, trying to get to the Avengers and ask for one of the Avengers' help. But when he got there, this invasion started happening. So it's kind of like, man, I got to get to that. But at the same time, he didn't want to blow his cover. So he just grabbed the first thing he saw in the costume shop. But the crazy thing is Adam Brashear's response once he gets there. And when he gets there, of course, he just flies through Shumagora. And he checks in with Luke Cage, who's leader of this group of Avengers. But after that, when he goes over to Spider Hero, he's like, man, your voice sound mad familiar. So then Blade is like, man, I ain't seen you since the 70s, man. You look good, man. You know, black don't crack. No, I'm just playing, but they did team up a while back, and I can do another video on that if you guys want. Just let me know in the comments. But before Adam and Blade really get to catch up and all that, Superior Spider-Man pulls Adam to the side and is like, hey, I'm a fan of your work, and I understand that you can look into this. And by saying that, he means that he's heard at some point before that Adam can look at objects at a subatomic level. And the reason that he needs to do this is because Spectrum was stabbed by Proxima Midnight's staff, which is nearly impossible to dodge. When she throws it, it follows you around a lot like Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. And when Spectrum's hit by it, she starts to decompose. And so now Spectra is made of pure energy. So when Adam looks into her and sees this infection that's starting to break her down, it's like made of an anti-energy. And that's just a simple way of putting it instead of getting into all the photons and electromagnetic radiation and whatnot. But the idea is brilliant. Since he can control antimatter, he's able to expel that infection from her body. And all while managing to flirt with her at the same time. And this moment's pretty significant because they build a rather fond relationship with one another and went on to join the Ultimates together as well too. And these two specifically make a great combination because with Adam Bashir's ability to produce and manipulate antimatter, he can also manipulate other forms of energy as well. And like we mentioned just a minute ago with him moving around the photons and extracting the antimatter, he was also able to adjust her frequency and make her insanely more powerful as well. Now, if that right there ain't relationship goals, I don't know what is. But that'll do it for this one, guys, mainly because this is where Adam Bashir's involvement in this incident ends. And we do continue to see him with the Mighty Avengers, and we'll definitely explore more of that in future videos. But there was a point where this team needed an ancient god to intervene before Spectrum could dish that final blow to Shumagora. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to talk about some more Blue Marvel, if you want to talk about his team up with Blade back in the day, or if you want me to cover his situation during the course of the original Sin storyline. Just leave all those comments down below. And like always, don't forget to smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, later.